When it comes to the San Francisco 49ers and contract negotiations, Brandon Ayuk has been front and center, and that's where all of our attention has been. And there is a potential chance that a couple players have slid through the cracks who are also angling for a new deal, and those two players are Christian McCaffrey and Jauan Jennings. Now, as we know with Jauan Jennings, he has not signed his exclusive rights contract tender yet, which at one point we did believe he had signed because he had posted to his social media. However, that's not the case. And as this situation has continued to progress, he is not at OTAs. Now, there are a couple reasons why he wouldn't be at OTAs because one, it's not mandatory. So he could just be working on his own and doing his own things. But there is this lingering aspect of the fact that he isn't signed, and he could be wanting a new deal. The other lingering part of this situation is in regards to Christian McCaffrey, who isn't at OTAs either. When Kyle Shanahan was asked about why Christian McCaffrey wasn't at OTAs, this was his response.
You mentioned some guys not being here, being business related. Is McCaffrey in that group?
I'm not sure if that is the case on any of those guys. I'm not throwing them all in. Who's here for that reason, who's not. But it is all voluntary, so we'll see when it becomes mandatory.
Now, my read on what Kyle Shanahan was saying was it kind of felt like he wasn't trying to say too much. Obviously, wasn't going to get into any of the details of why one player versus the other wasn't at OTAs. It's not mandatory. They don't have to show up. That's the whole point of it, is that it's organized team activities that are voluntary. Now, as Kyle Shanahan also said, when mandatory minicamp comes around, there will be a lot different discussions, and it'll be fascinating to see if either of these two players actually show up. But I think the biggest thing that I think we're trying to wrap our head around is the fact that, is Christian McCaffrey trying to get a new deal? Because when you look at what Christian McCaffrey did last year, he's the reigning offensive player of the year in the NFL. He had 272 carries, which tied for second in the NFL with total carries. He had 1,459 rushing yards, which was first in the NFL. He had 14 rushing touchdowns. That would have him ranked fourth in the NFL. And those are pretty solid stats. And as we know, it won him the Offensive Player of the Year. Again, many believe that if the MVP award wasn't essentially a quarterback award, that Christian McCaffrey should have won it, because he also added 67 receptions, 564 receiving yards, and 7 receiving touchdowns. That's phenomenal production. That's over 2,000 total yards and an insane amount of touchdowns and touches for arguably one of the league's best players. So the thing is that with Christian McCaffrey, we have last year to go back on in regards to OTA's participation. He was there. He was one of the main stories of OTAs because he did show up and he was kind of setting the tone for the entire group. And now he's not there. And we know that Christian McCaffrey is for the team. He's always going to try to improve. He isn't the type of guy who's going to be like, oh, I'm not going to show up because I don't want to. So when I look at this, I kind of perceive a situation where we could be looking at Christian McCaffrey angling for a contract extension. Because when you look at what he has done with the San Francisco 49ers, his value couldn't be any higher than it is right now. So when you look at what he's been able to do on the field, you can also understand why off the field he would want to get paid. In 2020, Christian McCaffrey signed a 4-year, $64 million contract with the Carolina Panthers, which included over $21 million signing bonus and $38 million guaranteed, with an average annual salary of $16 million. And when you look at what he's doing in 2024, McCaffrey will earn a base salary of $11.8 million and a workout bonus of around $200,000. $1,000 while carrying a cap hit of $14 million and a dead cap of $8.5 million. So the 49ers could, and Christian McCaffrey could absolutely be trying to get a new contract. Now, it's going to be fascinating to see how this ultimately plays out because we don't know this for sure. Obviously, Kyle Shanahan was non-committal, and rightfully so. I don't know why he would want to put that information out a little bit before he needed to. But like he said, mandatory minicamp will be the big target for us to really understand if this is currently happening, because that almost puts in a different conversation potentially into the Brandon Ayuk situation. Now, I know these players are individuals of themselves and they do their own things and have found success doing their own things. But when I guess you could compare and contrast, if Christian McCaffrey is a base salary of $11.8 million, whereas Brandon Ayuk could be headed towards $28-27 million, this might be a great opportunity for Christian McCaffrey to say, you know what, I need a raise. Because, listen, he has been one of the key pieces for the San Francisco 49ers offense since he arrived in the trade via the Carolina Panthers. He's only done and gone above and beyond what has been asked of him. From a production standpoint, he has just been on a different level. So you have to wrap your mind around the fact that absolutely Christian McCaffrey could be asking for a new contract because it's time. And this is a business, and he's produced, and it does appear that he's not only outperformed his current contract, that what's remaining, but he needs a new one. So there could be a situation that's on hand where we could be looking at a Brandon Ayuk contract extension. We could be looking at a Christian McCaffrey contract extension. And we got to figure out what's going on with Jauan Jennings. Is Jennings going to sign the tender, or is he angling for a contract extension as well? So this is going to be a fascinating situation because obviously we talk about Brock Purdy's deal and how that's going to be implicated by the BA deal. But what about Christian McCaffrey potentially getting big time money? So this is an interesting development, to say the least. I don't think we have any concrete information on whether the situation with Christian McCaffrey is indeed a contract holdout / negotiation. It's kind of feels like that with Jauan Jennings because he hasn't officially signed his exclusive rights tender. So that makes it a bit more obvious, I would say. But everything in between with CMC, a little bit of gray area. So what are your thoughts on this new potential development where CMC could be wanting a new contract too? Let me know what your thoughts are on Jauan Jennings and everything in between. Drop it in the comments below. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more updates.